For the WCHA. I want to welcome all of you to the Men's League Media Day, which serves as a kickoff for the 2020-2021 season. Before we begin, I just want to run through the ground rules for the question and answer portion of the call. If you have a question for one of the speakers, press the raise your hand function on your computer. And I will call on you in the order the requests are made. You'll be on mute until you are called on, and we'll go back on mute once you finish your question. We do have a hard 10-minute window for each speaker, so we may not be able to fulfill every request for each particular speaker, but we'll do the best we can. So with that, we're going to get going. We announced the media and coaches polls the last 2 days, so I won't run through those again. And we're going to begin today with Commissioner Bill Robertson, and he will make an opening statement, and we will begin the call. Commissioner? One second. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Todd. Good afternoon and good morning to all the members of the media who are on this call today. We truly appreciate your time and energy and coverage of the wonderful WCHA. We hope all of you are staying safe and healthy during this really challenging time, and we look forward to working with you this year. My comments will be brief, but I do want to highlight some things about our league. It's been a very unique and unpredictable ride since we shut the 2019-20 season down on March 12th. No one who was watching would have known when Bemidji State and Lake Superior State skated off the ice at the Sanford Center on March 8th that would be the final NCAA hockey game of the season. Our league office staff has worked tirelessly with our institutional leaders over the last several months to create a robust return to competition plan that received unanimous approval by our board of directors just 24 hours ago in a collaborative effort, which was led by our administrators, our coaches, and our board of directors. But that is just the final step of that's just the first step, of the 2021 season. We continue to work with our schools to assure we meet our primary goal of returning to the ice safely. While everyone in the WCHA is excited that meaningful games are on the horizon, we know we'll need to navigate an ever-changing path as we move through the schedule with the hope of completing our regular season and postseason in March. I don't think any of us expected our schedule to come off without a hitch. Cancellations and postponements are likely, and our staff will have to continue to be nimble and efficient as we deal with unexpected change that has unfortunately become the norm in 2020. On the ice, we return the #2 scorer in the country in Brandon Cruz at Bowling Green State University, as well as Mike Richter finalist and Hobie Baker semifinalist Dryden McKay at Minnesota State University, and another Richter semifinalist, goaltender Zach Driscoll at Bemidji State. Head coach Mike Hastings at Minnesota State stands as the winningest coach in the NCAA over the last 8 seasons, and his Mavericks begin 2020-21 in search of the unprecedented 4th straight WCHA regular season title. Our league is deep as it's ever been. 5 programs: Minnesota State, Bemidji State, Bowling Green, Northern Michigan, and Michigan Tech are nationally ranked or receive votes in both of the preseason national polls. Ferris State, Alaska, and Lake Superior State boast exciting rosters and will be a factor in the McNaughton Cup chase. And Alaska Anchorage and Alabama Huntsville, who have had difficult summers, are excited to be back on the ice, and we'll see what they prove as well. We had great news earlier today as Alabama Huntsville, it was announced, have a $17 million commitment for their hockey program for the future. That is great news for the Deep South and for college hockey to remain strong at that university. With that, I say that we know that we have a lot of hurdles to complete this season and may have to pivot, be flexible and adaptable. I expect another competitive battle in the WCHA and I'm confident we can produce multiple tournament teams this year in the NCAA qualifying rounds. I want to thank our great staff led by Dean Thibodeau, Todd Bell, Greg Shepherd, and our Women's Commissioner, Jen Flowers, for their overwhelming support. And we thank you, the members of the media who cover this tradition-rich college hockey conference. Thank you, and good luck with today's Zoom call.
If you have any questions, as I mentioned, please hit the raise hand function and we'll get you on with the commissioner. Okay, we've got Randy Johnson from the Star Tribune. Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, Bill, do you have the testing protocols yet? And then what are the specifics on those?
We do have the testing protocols in place that was announced yesterday when I returned a competition document, and our student athletes will be tested a minimum of 3 times a week.
Questions, again, just hit your raise hand function. Go ahead, Randy.
So what do you feel has been the most challenging over these last 6-8 months for you in the conference? Well,
I think it's just the fact there's so many unknowns, Randy, coming into this year for us. As I stated back on March 8th, when our season ended and ended abruptly, I'd never been through anything like that in my life. I've been through some strikes in the professional ranks, and I've been through 9/11, and now I've been through a pandemic. And I just don't think that every day it's something different and something new, and you have to be ready to meet those challenges. I think that has been the most unique part of working through the last several months. But I do believe that the collaboration level we've had from our board of directors, our administrators, and our coaches have been first rate. And that is a reason why we have a return to competition document. And that's the other reason we have a robust schedule that we're excited to get going here in the coming days.
And I'll go to Nick Trowitz from the Toledo. Nick, go ahead.
Hi, Bill. Thanks for doing this. Just in terms of if you guys are able to get to the end of the season, which hopefully you are, every league is kind of deciding what they're going to do if everyone plays a different number of games. If there are irregularities, what is the conference's procedure for determining its champion?
Well, we have its winning percentage is really what we're going off of for the most part. And then our postseason champion and our regular season champion will be the ones that would be crowned as we've done before. And that was voted on by our head coaches, our athletic directors, and our board of directors to approve that process. So it's not going to change drastically from our vantage point. And we hope well.
Okay. We have time for one more question for Commissioner Robertson. Will be Aaron Walling.
Thanks, Commissioner. My question for you is, how much of a challenge was it to figure out team travel to the state of Alaska?
Well, that's still a work in progress. We're still working with both Anchorage and Fairbanks on that scenario. But we made a commitment that in this shortened season that our teams are going to make the trips to Alaska, and we hope that's successful. And we're looking at all the readings that we can in the state and what's going on in each of the states that our teams compete in. And it's not just Alaska, all our states, Minnesota, Michigan, Ohio, and Alabama, besides Alaska. This pandemic has changed some of their restrictions, and we may have to, again, pivot, adapt and be flexible going forward. So I believe right now that the challenges are still there as far as travel are concerned, but we're taking every safety precaution with our schools to make sure we can play safely for the betterment of our student athletes and the people surrounding the game.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. We're going to thank you for your time. We're going to move on to our next speaker. That will be Greg Shepherd, our Supervisor of Officials. Greg, thank you for joining us. Give me 1 second here to get you going. Okay, Greg, thank you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me, Todd? Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning. I want to wish everybody a happy Veterans Day from being a veteran. I know how important it was to serve our country, so I just wanted to wish everybody happy Veterans Day for the people that served. What I'm going to go over is a few major rule changes that took place this year as a rule change year and our points of emphasis for the season. First, I'll touch on the points of emphasis for the season. I'll respect the game. That's both officials, coaches, and players. Go out and play the game, play it to your best ability, but respect the other team. The thing that we're going to be looking for and really cracking down on like we have in the past is the contact to the head and the checking from behind. We have to take that out of the game to protect our student athletes and our players so they can play the game the way they're supposed to be playing the game. The game is, from some people's aspects, a little bit too long, and a lot of that is blamed on video review. So again, we instructed the officials to use video review in a manner that when they need to, they will. Otherwise, make the decision on the ice. Do not use it for a crutch and move on. Some of the major rule changes for this year that they came up with. When there's a icing or a penalty, the attacking team will get to pick the side of the face-off location. That means the coach will have a referee standing by the bench on an icing or a penalty, and the coach will tell the referee what side he wants to face off on. So it's either the right side, the left side. We go up there, we conduct the face-off, and we move on. The other thing is on face-off protocol. In the past, when we had a player move or inside the circle, we'd throw the player out. Now, what we're going to do is the linesman will stand up, point to the offending person, go back down and drop the puck. We're not throwing the center out because what that does is cause more time. They want to speed the game up. But if they do move or if there's an infraction the second time, then it will be an automatic penalty to the offending team, no matter if it's attacking or defensive. So again, there's no throwing the center out the first time. They'll stand up. It's like the international rule. They've had that in effect here for a couple of years, and everybody's liked it, and it's worked very well for them. Overtime, as everyone knows, that's been a big, big topic for many, many years. So what's going to take place this year is after 60 minutes, and this is in league play only. After 60 minutes, they'll get a 2-minute rest. Change ends. We'll play 3-on-3. If nobody scores, 2-minute rest, change ends. They will resurface the middle of the ice, and we will go to a 3-person shootout, not a sudden death. 3-person shootout. After that shootout, after the 3 people shoot, if it's still tied, then we will go to a sudden death. So if a team picks a player scores, the next team does not, the game's over with, that team wins, okay? So again, that's new this year. We went to 5 players for 5 minutes, 3 players for 3 minutes, and a sudden death shootout. That's not gonna happen. It goes 2-minute rest after 60. It goes to a 3-on-3 for 5 minutes. And then it will go to a 3-person shootout if nobody scores. The other thing is that This is for league play only. Now, when we get to our playoffs and the NCAAs, then after 60 minutes, if it's tied, we will resurface, we will change ends, and we will play 20 sudden death if that happens in our playoffs and in the championship game. This is just for league play only. The other thing is they talked about was on the shootout, they clarified a 360-degree turn while taking the shot. The player cannot do a 360. He has to keep moving forward toward the net to take the shot. He can pick the puck up off the ice and throw it as long as he doesn't pick it over 4 feet. That's legal, but he can't do a spinorama around with the puck on a shootout. The other thing is if a goaltender gets hurt, say at the end of 3-on-3, they have to pull him back out. They can put that same goaltender in back in the shootout after the first player shoots. They can put the goalie back in. That's a change this year. You couldn't do that before. And again, like I said, our point of emphasis, getting back to them, respect to the game, make sure that we speed the game up, but do it in a manner that is fair, not just hurrying the game to get it done. We got to make sure that it's fair to both teams and conducted in a good manner. That's it, Todd. That's about all I got for the points of emphasis and for the rule changes this year. Like I said, hopefully we get off the ground and our officials will know the rules. We have things in place for our officials for testing, for what they can and cannot do when they do go out of town, when they travel. And we have to make it safe for them and our players. So Todd, that's it.
Okay, Shep, thank you. We're not going to have time for questions for Greg, so we'll move on. Shep, again, appreciate your time.
Sorry, Todd.
That's all right. Okay, our next speaker will be our first coach of the day. Will be head coach Damon Whitten from Lake Superior State. Coach will ask you to make an opening statement, and then we'll take questions. Damon Whitten come on here just now. Coach, go ahead.
Thanks, Todd. Yeah, good afternoon and I guess morning if anybody's joining us from out west. I just want to reiterate what Shep said and thank everybody for their service on Veterans Day and Remembrance Day here in North America. Happy Veterans Day and thank you for your service to our countries that impact our game. I want to start too by just recognizing the athletic directors at the institutions across the WCHA. Just obviously a very challenging time to be operating a department in. Certainly, we all have our WCHA hockey programs, but being in dual conferences for their other sports pulled in a lot of directions. And I can tell all of you that as a hockey coaching body, we were not easy on our ADs. We were demanding and we were hard and we fought really quite a bit to help our student athletes have this season. So want to express our appreciation to our athletic directors for all the work they put in to get us to this point. And obviously, just a few days away from some teams starting and for our program 10 days out or so. So it's much appreciated to what they did to get us to this point. And I would echo that for Commissioner Robertson and his staff. As he said, every day brought something new and something different. And certainly felt like some days we'd never get here. And to be opening our preseason media day in November feels strange. We should be a month and a half into the season, but we're excited to be here. And again, very appreciative for what the league office and each campus did. A lot of collaboration between institutions to make this work and to get us to this point. So, we're excited to be here and ready to launch this season. In regards to Laker hockey, like any team and like any season in college, a lot of our success will be driven by our senior class. We have 7 seniors in there and a very strong leadership group. We like this class a lot. These are all guys that have played very significant roles and minutes for our program, not only last year, but over their previous few years in college hockey. So I think a lot of our success, as it often is, will be dependent upon our senior class. You know, as we've talked as a staff, we think this group reminds us a lot of our 18-19 team that I think they led us to 23, 25 wins, whatever it was, and a lot of similar qualities in terms of roles they play, the type of leadership they bring. So we've got big expectations, not only for that class, but for our team. You know, we want to get back in the home ice like we were in that 18-19 season, hang another banner here at Taffy Able Arena with all of our history and tradition. You know, we're ready for that next championship. So we'll look to our seniors, those 7 seniors in a real major way. A few guys within that class to point out, a lot of these will wear letters and be our leaders on this team, along with one junior. But Lucas Keibel, our captain, again, a guy that ever since day one he stepped on campus, he's been a real consistent guy, 5-on-5. He's been a power play player for us, a penalty killer, a real leader for us in many different ways. And we expect Lucas to have a tremendous year for us and be a part of that strong leadership class. He'll be joined on D and wearing a letter as our assistant captain, another senior defenseman, Will Rydell. Will's our top returning D scorer. Really had a year where he took a big step forward offensively, but a very consistent player, very powerful player. He's been very good early on, and we look for those 2 seniors in particular to really be anchors to our team on our D core, along with some other returners. Also wearing a letter, senior assistant captain, Hampus Eriksson. He's a big experienced center for us. Again, another guy that's been a key power play guy, a key penalty kill guy. He's a big, strong center, good on faceoffs. Hampus has played a lot of quality minutes for us over the last few years and will be a big part of that leadership core, but also an offensive leader as well. And our last assistant captain will be a junior and a Sioux native, Ashton Calder. Ashton was a member of the all-rookie team a couple of years ago. He's our top returning scorer. I believe at 28, 29 points, I think is what Ashton had returning this season. So not only a chance for Ashton to take a step forward in a leadership role, but also will continue to be counted on as a top scorer and an offensive impact. Obviously, one of our big losses last year, Max Humitz, was I think 5th or 6th in the country in goals. And so those seniors will be a part of that to help them replace Max's scoring and guys like Braden Gelsinger. But those other seniors, Chase Gamblin has been very good early on, Alex Ambrosio, Yuki Miura. These guys have all played a lot of games, a lot of quality minutes in college hockey, and those guys will really help. But along with those guys, a couple of our key offensive players, Pierre-Luc Viette. Pete had a big year last year. He was tied with Ashton for 12 goals, and he'll be a key guy that will look to help offset some of Max Humitz's offense that we lost. Excuse me. And then Louis Badon, a member of the all-rookie team last year, very dynamic offensive player. You know, made a good adjustment here. He's only been in North America for a couple of years and really a quick progression up in junior hockey and a real good freshman year for Louis. He's stronger. He's quicker than ever. And I think Louis is poised for a real breakout year. And again, we'll look to help offset some of that offense that we lost. I think lastly, just want to highlight the goaltending group that we returned. Another one of those key seniors, Merrick Mittens. You know, Mitts got off to a slow start last year along with the team in front of him. But from about mid-November on, Mitch was, you know, in the top 10, top 15 in the country in really all categories. Had a tremendous second half, or again, late November on or mid-November on, was really one of the most consistent goalies in the WCHA and maybe in the nation. You know, we'll need Mitz to be ready to go from day one, and I think he will be. We know he can be one of the best goalies in the conference and the nation when he's playing his game, and again, looking for major contributions from him his senior year here. I think behind him is the deepest we've been. Seth Isley didn't get in last year. It was a redshirt opportunity for Seth. And coming off an injury, coming into his freshman year, but Seth has been really strong early on. And Ethan Langenager, a very promising goaltender out of the BC Hockey League. Ethan has exceeded expectations early on. So it's going to be the challenge for us is finding some minutes for Seth and Ethan behind a very capable senior in Merrick Mittens. But we will try to look to use that early season slate to get some experience for those guys while rely on Merrick Mittens to get that going for us. So once again, just want to really thank the leadership across all the campuses. The collaboration between institutions is not like anything I've seen in 20 years of college hockey. A lot of different coaches commented on it, the way we got to know each other, the way we shared information, certainly within Michigan, the different rules you see within your state. That collaboration was really paramount in getting us to this point. and we're looking forward to a great year and a great season. Limited fans is going to be an interesting, how we react to that. But we can't wait to get back to Taffy-Able in front of our fans. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to take those now.
I think we've got time for a question or two. Again, hit the raise hand function, and we'll get you on with Coach. Okay, we're not seeing any questions. So, Coach, we're going to let you go. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Yep. One second. Good. Next up on the speaker schedule will be Ferris State head coach Bob Daniels. Coach, give me just 1 second here and I'll get you on the screen. Okay, Coach Daniels, you are on. Go right ahead. Go ahead and unmute yourself and pop your screen on.
Okay, Todd, you got me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Hey, Todd. Well, thank you very much. And I caught the tail end of Coach Whitten's comments, and I kind of wanted to hit on one of the things he hit on, and I'd like to really congratulate the WCHA, the leadership that's been provided to the member institutions as we try to navigate this situation here. It's been unlike anything I've seen either. And, I'd also like to congratulate the administrations of all the different universities, all coming together. There's a lot of work, more work than you would even imagine, that has had to be done through our league office and through our administrations, and certainly all schools pitched in, and ours did as well. And our leadership, from our president, Dave Eisler, to our athletic director, Perk Weisenberger, the hours they put in with our trainers, the coaches, to see this all come to fruition is outstanding. And another area that I think that I'm really excited about is what Damon had mentioned too, and that is the collegiality that we see between the coaching staffs. Success has always been graded on wins, losses, but in a year like this, I think success is being graded in a different way. And the idea that we're going to be able to get on the ice, we're going to be able to compete, that's a success right there. We all want the student athletes to have the ability to be involved in what they love most, and that's competition. We want them to have a great experience, and certainly here at Ferris State, we're no different. And to see everyone come together and see people, bending over backwards, working together, it's terrific. And I'm sure once the puck drops, as long as there's two nets, a scoreboard, and a puck, winning is going to be important. But I think this has been a great lesson on collegiality, and I've been excited to be part of it. And I certainly want to thank the WCHA for all their hard work and efforts. Now, regarding our team and how we look for the coming year, we're coming off of two very difficult seasons for us, ones that are unlike what have ever experienced, really. And we're, as a coach, I'm very disappointed about those years, but I wasn't disappointed about the student athletes or the effort level they put in. But as we look at this year's team, as always, I'm very excited and I'm very optimistic. I think one of the areas that has been problematic for us has been our goaltending. It hasn't been what we wanted, and it was a confluence of situations that occurred. But I really feel as though we've got that area of strength, and the addition of Logan Stein has been a real positive. And we've had limited practice exposure, but I've been out there enough with the guys now over the past 2 weeks to see that he's an outstanding goaltender, and he's going to make our situation in net better by increasing the competition for playing time. Roni Selman-Kangas, who was forced into action probably before his time as a freshman, he continues to improve, and Carter McPhail, our other goaltender, is pushing hard too for playing time. So we've got three guys that I feel very good about. I really feel like that's an area. I don't know what our save percentage was the past 2 seasons. I know it was below 90, and I've always felt, at least in today's game, you've got to be about 9-10 just to ante and get a seat at the table. And so that's what we're looking for out of that is, is to improve our save percentage. And that also goes into our team as well, though. We haven't played as well defensively as a team, and that's reflected in the numbers. But we're excited about it. We did lose a number of senior defensemen last year. Matter of fact, I believe we have 21 underclassmen, freshmen and sophomores. But even though we're going to be young, I think we have one junior and the rest are freshmen and sophomores on defense. But I go back to the year we made it to the national title game, and that season we had 4 freshman defensemen. So, just because you are young in a certain area doesn't mean you can't be successful. Up front's probably the strength of our team right now. We're deep there. We've got some very good returning players, seniors, and that's where we have 4 seniors, and all 4 reside up front. But Cole Norris, Lucas Finner, Marshall Moyes, and Liam McDougall, we'll lean on them for not only leadership off the ice, but leadership on the ice. All 4 of them are very capable. It's interesting. None of them have ever quite hit their stride in the fact that quite often they've been injured. Marshall Moyes hasn't completed a full season yet with us, but as I look at him on the ice, and as limited viewing a year ago, he could be one of the top forwards in the league, if not the country. The key right now is to keep him healthy. And the same thing with Lucas Finner. In 5 games last year, he'd scored 4 goals, then went down with a broken leg and was out for the season. So, if we can get those areas or get those guys through a full season, get them healthy. We have a number of underclassmen, and they're very good so far. One freshman that's really looked good in my eyes, actually a couple of them. One is Antonio Venuto, another is Mitch Steelstraw, and I don't want to shortchange anybody else, but I'm watching the progress we've made with our returning players and then the incoming freshmen, and that leads to my optimism for this season. But easy to say that right now. Now the proof's going to be in the pudding and how we play on the ice. With that said, Todd, I'd welcome any questions anyone may have.
Okay, we're going to start with Greg Cameron. Greg, go ahead.
Afternoon, Coach. Thanks for the time. You are on the ice hockey committee going forward here. What has been the message to those around college hockey about how the selection for the NCAA tournament is going to go?
Greg, that's a great question. And I took over for Mike Corbett, and I've actually only been on one meeting with the committee so far. And like any good rookie, I kept my mouth shut and my ears open. But what it sounds like, there's been no real decisions made. Obviously, everything's a work in progress right now, and I believe that is too. But you kind of got to let the dust settle for a little bit and see exactly where every league's going to be at. And I think things will start heating up in December and then obviously in January. But there's been no definitive answer. The only thing that is for sure is the RPI will not be taken into consideration, as there's not enough crossover. Very, very few conferences are playing non-conference games out of conference, if all that makes sense. So I think it'd be premature to say much in that area, other than, at this date, they're expecting the tournament to be held on the weekend that it's slated for in Pittsburgh. The regional sites are selected, obviously, and there's been some talk of maybe pushing things back, but that's not necessarily as easy as it would look. You've got contracts, you've got buildings, and that's not something I think that it would be as easily done as you might perceive initially. But in regards to selection and so forth, that remains to be ironed out, and time will tell on that.
Greg, do you have a follow-up?
I did, yes. You mentioned the RPI out the window. Pairwise is going to be out the window. In the meeting you've been in, what's been the conversation about potentially using the eye test to not necessarily eliminate, but maybe choose between a couple of teams maybe vying for one spot?
Yeah, I think that's going to have to come into play. And, it's really going to be, this is now me talking and not the committee. So, please understand that. But I think the eye test will be important. I think information coming out of leagues on how teams perform. If COVID does crop up and all of a sudden within a league, some teams are sidelined for a couple of weeks, that's going to throw, all of a sudden now who did they miss? Like, how did it affect them within their standings, and what games did they miss? Who did they miss competing against? Also, other things that may be taken into account. I understand now that the World Junior Tournament, most of those teams, the U.S. team and the Canadian teams, are bringing their kids together for a much longer period of time. They're going to try to get them in a bubble. And what that means and the effect on college hockey is that certain programs are going to be without players for long durations. So there's going to be a lot to talk about. There's going to be a lot to discuss. It's probably not the easiest year to be on the committee, I'm thinking, but nevertheless, I look forward to it. I'm honored to be on it. But I can see where this is going to take a lot of work, and certainly the eye test is going to be an important part of that. I'm sure as we start getting down to the selection process.
Okay, Coach, thank you for your time today. We're gonna let you go. Appreciate it.
Bye now.
Bye. Okay, our next speaker will be from Bowling Green, head coach Ty Eigner. You get him on the screen here. Coach, you are live and the floor is yours.
Thanks, Todd. Yeah, I got a chance to listen to both Damon and Bob talk about the year, and I would echo what they have both said. Thank you very much to the WCHA and the leadership from the league in terms of putting something together. And you know as well as anybody, Todd, that this has not been an easy task, just in terms of putting a schedule together and dealing with return to play protocols and all those kinds of things. So it's been a lot of work to get to this point. And I certainly also want to say thanks to President Rogers on our campus, Bob Moosbrugger, Jim Elsasser, and our trainer, Dan Fisher, who's also the head trainer on our campus. It's just, it's a ever-changing environment that we live in, and no longer can you put a schedule out on a monthly basis or yearly basis. It's almost weekly, if not daily. And so we're certainly very appreciative to have the opportunity to compete. And the one thing we've tried to do consistently here, when we've been able to be out with our guys, which we've been very fortunate to be out with our guys quite a bit, is to remind them how lucky we are to have the opportunity, because there are sports and conferences and leagues that are choosing not to play for safety reasons, and we're very lucky. So we try to remind our young men every day that we're really lucky to have the support from the league and from our institution in regards to being able to have a season. But the reality is I don't think anybody knows exactly what that season's going to look like. As far as we're concerned, this is a year that we're really excited about. We lost 4 players from last year's team that, as you guys all know, ended the year with the longest streak without a loss. Our last 10 games, we were 8-0-2, and we felt really good about how we were playing. We lost 4 players from that team. Alec Rauhauser, a 2-time All-American, Jake Dalton, a defenseman, and Fred Letourneau and Casey Lincoln held up front. And obviously Alec will be very difficult to replace. Trying to replace a 2-time All-American is not easy, but we have a bunch of depth coming back, and we've got 10 seniors in this senior class, and we've got 16 forwards this year, and last year we had 14. We've got 9 defensemen this year. Last year we had 8, and then we've got the 3 goalies. So this is a group that is motivated. Like everybody was really disappointed in how the season ended last year, and really wants to get an opportunity this year to prove how good we can be. We've got real good leadership. We've got, like I said, depth at every position. We've got some big time kids returning up front. And then we have the addition of Gavin Gould, who's got 65 points in his college career. So he's a 30+ point a year guy. Gavin's now eligible for us. So that's another forward we put into our mix. Obviously, Brandon Cruz and Connor Ford and Max Johnson, Sam Craigs, Cameron Wright are seniors that have been here a long time and won a lot of games at Bowling Green and done a lot of great things for us up front. And Taylor Schneider and Alex Barber as juniors have had really, really good sophomore years last year. And then on the back end, two seniors, Justin Wells and Carson Musser, played a lot of hockey for us. And then Tim Theocharidis and Will Cullen are juniors who've played a lot and are guys that play in every situation for us. And then, TJ Lloyd had a really, really good freshman year for us last year. And we've got a couple of freshmen. We added a transfer in Max Coyle, who transferred from Alabama Huntsville. And, so we've got depth, on the blue line. And then our goaltending, we feel really good about. Eric Dopp's a senior, and Eric's done some great things in his career here. Looking forward to watching what Eric can do this year as a senior. And then Zach Rose really, really came into his own as a freshman last year as the year went on. So we really like our group. We just want to continue to remind ourselves that every day we get a chance to be out there together, whether it be in practice or a game, we're very lucky. And we want to try to take advantage of any opportunities we get this year.
Okay, Coach, thank you. We got a couple questions already here. I'll go first to Nick Petrowitz. Nick, go ahead.
Hey, Ty, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, no problem.
Just looking at the way this has gone in football, it's a few games every week are getting, postponed, canceled. Going into this, how optimistic are you? And do you expect just delays and cancellations to just kind of be part of this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always optimistic, Nick, you know me, but I think we'd be foolish to not. I think if we're surprised by a cancellation or a postponement, then shame on us. We've already experienced that. Last weekend we were supposed to play the under-18 team up in Plymouth, and we had an unfortunate situation where they had a couple cases and they needed to postpone the game. We're going to try to reschedule that. So we've already gone through it once. Obviously, every team in the league has had a schedule that they believed was going to be their schedule for 2020, 2021, and that got blown up and reshuffled. And so I think once we get going, all we can do, what we've tried to preach to our guys is, because we've had, full disclosure, we've had some situations of COVID within our team since we got back in late August. So we've tried to learn from that. And you bring it up, we try to emphasize to every day, you watch ESPN or you look at your phone and there's another cancellation or another player gets put into, COVID protocols, whether it be the NFL or college football or Major League Baseball, whatever, and we've tried to tell our guys, to focus on the things they can control. And hopefully with the procedures we have in place and the fact that our sport is in the winter and, we'll be kicking it off when students are not on our campuses and we can try to the best of our abilities, be as cautious and safe as possible. Hopefully we get a chance to play all 18 league games and the playoffs and it goes off without a hitch. But the reality is that chances of that happening are, I don't know the odds, but they're probably not too great.
Next question is from Greg Cameron. Greg, go ahead.
Afternoon, Coach. Thank you for the time. I just want to clarify something you just said before I ask a question here. You said that the exhibition was postponed due to cases that are within the U18s?
Yeah, I mean, again, they called and asked if we were okay postponing. I don't want to speak for what they have going on there. I do know that their games, their statement, I believe, was perfect out of an abundance of caution. So I don't know exactly what they have going on, but I know that, they called and they felt like the right thing to do for their program was to postpone. And then, obviously anybody can look online and see that they're not playing this weekend. So I don't know what's going on within their program, but I do know that it was not, we did not postpone, and again, full disclosure, like I said, we've had our COVID issues within our own program.
Thank you for that. Are you fully healthy now?
Yeah. We're right now. So, we, like everybody, one of the things that was, I think, most difficult for our guys after having conversations about it when it went through our team was the thing that you got to remind yourself is these are young men and whether they're athletes or not, these guys think they're invincible, right? So they they believed that we were kind of sort of in a bubble because they lived together, and then we train together, and then we practice together, and they eat together. But the reality is, every time someone goes to see their girlfriend or goes to get dinner here, or a buddy comes over who's not necessarily a student athlete, those are all opportunities for the virus to be transmitted. And the only real bubbles are the NBA and the NHL. And when no one gets in and no one gets out, that's why you have 30,000 negative tests. And so it's been a learning experience for all of us, understanding that, you can't be too safe, and to try to remind these young men every day that, wearing your mask is critical, and social distancing is critical, and trying to wash your hands and not touch your face. Those are critical things, because we didn't have our situation was not a situation where all of our guys were in a single place at one time. We just had some situations where, it kind of sort of moved through our team based on living arrangements, based on, who was riding with who, and that kind of stuff. So we're all good right now. We do have, obviously with a game this week, we've been doing both regular testing and then surveillance testing on our campus and within our athletic department. And so we feel good about the process, but I think anybody that's involved in athletics feels good about their process. I'm sure, Clemson football felt good about their process until their quarterback turned up positive, right?
Okay, Coach, thank you. We appreciate your time today. Have a good rest of your day. Okay, next up from Michigan Tech will be head coach Joe Sean. We'll get him on screen here. Coach, you're on screen. You can go ahead with your opening statement. You're on mute, Coach.
What are we doing now? Good?
There you go. You're good.
All right. Like the other coaches, I'd certainly like to thank everyone for the efforts that have been put in to get us this close to being able to compete, and that's mostly what our athletes want to do. We want to give them the best opportunity we can to enjoy their college experience, to get the most they possibly can out of this year to help them fulfill their goals and their aspirations, both academically and athletically. I think our administration at Michigan Tech has gone above and beyond in their efforts, in both coming out early and saying that we were going to be a live learning center, that with our high academic standards and engineering and other curriculum, that we were going to study live as much as possible, get our students in the lab, allow them to work. So that certainly helped us and put us ahead of the curve, I think, in some ways, on how we had to go about doing that. So with the development of in-house testing, things of that nature, it's been absolutely a tremendous thing to work with our group and with our university. I'm proud of everybody involved. As far as our team, we really like the team we have returning this year. It's been a long time in putting it together. We have a junior-dominated group. I think that's done a great job in their trajectory, in their learning curve. We returned the 7th most goals in the country, which is always a good sign. Most of that in that junior class this year. We have some outstanding seniors in leadership. I think that we'll learn off of the job that was done last year. We really put an emphasis on that, changing that portion of our culture, and the departure of Alex Smith will be a big one. I thought he did a phenomenal job in leading us, but he also did a great job in working with others and training them to carry on our traditions. The seniors that we have returning, there's not a lot, but they're all impact for us. Tyler Rockwell and Cooper Watson on defense have both played significant amount of games. Justin Misiak up front is really maybe the heart and soul of our team in what he brings every day, both in the locker room and on the ice. Grayson Reitmeyer and Marcus Russell are the other two returning players that we have that are seniors. And then we've added a goaltender in Mark Sinclair and a transfer from Alabama Huntsville. So we're very excited about our senior class, the leadership, the experience they have moving forward. Again, as I mentioned, the strength of our teams in our juniors. We return what we feel is a very, very strong junior class, returning both of our leading scorers from last year, Trenton Bliss and Alec Bretzman, along with Tommy Peratino, Brian Hallinan, all tremendous players up front that have really done a great job in keeping us again on an upward path. I believe we won 19 or 20 of our last 25, 26 games last year, 27 games after starting out 1-6 or 2-6, ending the year with 21 wins. So we're happy with the growth that we have, especially going through an illness stage in January last year. We were dressing for a couple weeks, 8 and 9 guys short, and having some losses in that span. So we very much like our group. On defense, our strengths will be Colin Sawyer, who I think has the capability of being an all-league player. I know he got some all-league votes early. Eric Goetz, which is a similar frame of player as Colin. Tyro Buckley as well is going to get a chance this year to earn some ice time with us. He's worked very hard, developed himself, developed his game. They'll do a great job for us. We'll be young on defense. We'll also have, in our sophomore class, we return another good group that followed up our junior class. Our freshmen from last year, Parker Sretsky, Logan Gainey, Logan Piedla, all played significant roles for us, scored big goals at big times, played big in big games, and helped us advance to the point where we felt we were ready to compete and get on the ice with number 1 ranked Mankato last year, heading there for the playoffs when things got canceled. With our size on defense, with the addition last year of Brendan Dadema, Chris Leip, they've done a tremendous job in their growth as well. And then with our freshman class, we're very happy with the nucleus and what we brought in Carson Bantle, Arvid Kadaroff, and Brett Thorne on defense, with Bantle and Kadaroff both being forwards. They had size, skill, skating ability. And then we added Caden Bailey in goal there to help out with Blake Piedla, returning goaltender Blake Piedla, who's capable of being a top-end college goaltender. And again, I mentioned Mark Sinclair. So again, we return the bulk of our team from last year. I think we filled in and addressed what we needed to address moving forward with our size, with strength, with skating ability, with hockey sense, with the things that we need to compete in this strong league. Congratulations to Mankato again for being the top selected team in both polls, media and coaches poll. We know the caliber of team that Bowling Green is going to return. A team that 2 years ago went right down to last minute of the game with a lead in the championship game and into overtime, before Mankato was able to flex their muscle a bit. And then last year, we're poised again to get themselves into the championship game. Bemidji returns the majority of their team. They were extremely young last year and took a number 1 ranked Mankato team right to the last game of the regular season before Mankato was able to win the title. So I think those 3 teams certainly have earned the rankings that they've received. And then you can put the rest of us, I think, probably in a mix. And then usually a team from that mix steps up and challenges. And I think we have the capability of being able to do that. But we also know that Lake Superior likes what they have returning. A lot of veterans. Northern Michigan spent a lot of time on a lot of young players last year that they feel will step up and replace some of the major losses that they have. And then there's a couple of teams that have a great cause. Ferris State is returning a young team again, a very young team. They have experience and are always tough in their rank. And then we have 3 teams that really have something to prove and have, you know, have that chip that they can rely on and kind of have a take on the world type of mentality when they play any of us. And I'd certainly use that card as well if I was them. So I think it's going to be a great league this year. Looking forward to playing. I think that the league office did a good job, along with the athletic directors, in coming up with a plan to play that both gave us the opportunity in prior to the January 1 start date to get as many games in as they felt safe with and handle it in the way that we felt safe with. And then to also give a 18-game league schedule with some playoff activity after that. So we're excited to get going. We know there's going to be some issues this year, some hiccups. It'll be very hard to avoid, to avoid missing games in some capacity, either individually or collectively, for every team in the league. So we really look forward to get in the games we can, and hopefully get to the point where when January comes, there's less of a concern and less of a risk of missing competition. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Thanks, Coach. Got a question from Tim Rapley. Tim, go ahead. You're on mute, Tim.
Sorry about that. Yeah, right here. Thanks, Coach. Hey, what are your observations so far of Mark Sinclair? Have you learned anything about the guy?
He's just what the people from Huntsville told us he was and what we saw from him. I think we went in to play them last year at one point, 8th in the country, and came out of there probably about 16th. After we had to come back, he shut us out for 2 periods. On Friday night, we were able to get some goals in the third and win a 3-1 game or something like that. And then the next night, he shut us down again. I think we lost a 2-1 game or something of that nature. So he has the ability to steal a game. I like his poise. I like his he's got a quiet demeanor about him, a calmness. Seems to be cerebral in the net. So he's got the attributes you want from a goaltender. I think we're very fortunate to be able to get him. I know that's a big loss for Alabama Huntsville, but it's our gain in this respect, and he'll certainly get a lot of minutes in our net this year.
Okay, Coach. Thank you for your time. We're gonna let you go. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, next up will be Grant Patolny from Northern Michigan. Coach, you are on deck. Go ahead. You're on mute. Go ahead, Coach.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. I got a chance to listen a little bit to Joe's comments, and I think that the number one thing is, as a body of coaches, we're grateful to the league office and to the athletic directors for continuing to find ways to allow our athletes to measure themselves against each other and have a chance to compete. In regards to the way that the schedule has laid out, it's going to be a very challenging year. There's integrity in the balance of the schedule, with everybody playing each opponent one time, and playing your rival home and home at the end of the year. So you'll have a great balance of home and away. I do think we'll have a true champion this year, based on the ability to play everybody. Now that could be affected, obviously, due to health and losing players. But it's going to be a year where I honestly believe depth is going to be king, and the teams that are able to survive, whether it's injury or illness or whatever it is, are the teams that are going to have the most success.
Okay, do we have any questions for Coach? Okay, Tim Rapley, go ahead.
Coach, can you break down your goaltending situation? Can you just kind of give us a depth chart on your goaltending? You guys still with me?
Yeah, Coach, go ahead. You're on mute there for a sec, Coach. Go ahead.
I lost you for a second, but I know you were talking about goaltending.
Yeah, what's the depth chart? Yeah.
Yep. Well, we had last year we went with John Hawthorne and Nolan Kent, and Nolan kind of at the end of the year was the goaltender that played the bulk of the minutes. Some of that was due to performance, some of that was due to John having some injuries, and John had surgery in the off season. So he just actually yesterday was his first day back on the rink. So John's not going to be available, for a little bit of time. So Nolan's back, and we have player Connor Reichman. Connor is a transfer from a Division III school, and in most times I think that would be, I guess it's still in this time it's a unique situation, but Connor was initially committed to Boston University and had a hiccup with the high school he was at, miscalculated one of his credits, so he ended up just being a little bit short. Went to a Division III school and was undefeated there, 33-0, and won a national championship. And he's played very well since he's been here. He's a calm kid. Nothing seems to rattle him. So, can he do it at Division I levels? Still remains to be seen. But based in practice, he's played very well. So Nolan and Connor will continue to fight for that position, and that's no different than any other spot in our team. I mean, we never had as much depth as we've had. Up front, we're going to have good players not playing. On the blue line, we're going to have good players not playing. And as a coach, that's what you hope for. Because it drives the competition to practice. It gives you the ability to move players in and out based on how they're performing. So, even before COVID, it worked out, in our favor. We made a conscious decision to carry a few more players than we ever have based on the injuries last year. We were playing great hockey, and all of a sudden, AJ Vanderbeck has 8 points in 8 games, and he's out for the rest of the year. You lose Jet Jungles, the first game of the year, highly touted freshman who we expected big things for. He couldn't play all year. Griff Lochran, who was led the conference in scoring, was so banged up. He couldn't practice down the stretch. Tanner Vesio was playing as one of our best defensemen, gets his jaw broken practice on a freak accident. We had another defenseman playing with a broken hand. He's casted. So I'd never seen so many injuries in my life. And we made a conscious decision that, that wasn't going to be anything that was going to affect our team this year. So we brought in more bodies. I like the players that we brought in. I like our depth. And I'm really looking forward to this year because we do have, a couple players at the top that, I think will have big years. Walker and DeMay, Gontos led all freshmen in goals last year with 11. I think Vanderbeck showed what he can be in his eight game segments. Jungles is now available this year. He looks good. He looks like the player we recruited out of high school. David Kiefer is a transfer from Michigan State. Was a real good player in the USHL, and we're hoping for a little bit of that Rockwood magic that Adam brought here. So really like our team. Our D-corps in a great spot. Noah Gansky's a freshman from Green Bay. He's looked very good. So I like where we're at, and just looking forward to having a chance to play some games.
Good. Next up will be Randy Johnson. Randy, go ahead.
Hi, Grant. How did you approach practice this fall with not knowing exactly when the season would start and trying to keep your players engaged in that?
Yeah, no, great question, Randy. Actually, what we did is, I kind of, I had an idea that we might, have to do some things differently. And the biggest concern for me was the soft tissue muscles of the players. And, because some guys had access to ice time in the summer and some didn't. So to come back, we split our team into 3 groups. And for 3 weeks, we went 3 days a week, and we literally worked on edges and stick skill, all kinds of things that we probably, typically you wouldn't have, time to be able to do things like that because you got to prepare for a game with power play and system and some of those things. We didn't have to worry about that. So we took it like, a little bit of a development camp for those 3 weeks. Then we brought the guys into 2 groups, and then you could introduce a little bit more of kind of what you're doing systematically, but it was still really skill-based orientated. And we stayed with 3 days a week with 2 groups. Then we got the whole team together. We went 4 days a week for 3 more weeks. And now we're on a whole team. We did 5 days a week, and now this week will be the start of our 6-day-a-week training camp. So real slow build up to it. I don't think that there's any way you could have kept everybody's attention, for 10 weeks or whatever the number of days is, had you jumped in with your whole team right away. And I don't think it would have been wise either. So it's actually gone very well. Had a chance, you can take days off that you didn't need to, you needed to practice before. Now maybe practice on a Saturday when, you typically playing a game. So the one thing these guys do want to do is they want to compete. They want to be busy. I've always said athletes, they want discipline and they want structure. And, we tried to give them as much of that as we could without burning them out.
Coach, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. We'll let you go.
Thank you.
Next up, we will have from Alabama Huntsville, head coach Lance West on the screen here in just 1 second. Coach, you are on.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Okay. Well, I guess, echo, I've listened to quite a few and want to echo quite a few of the people's comments, and really even more so thank Bill, Todd, and Dean for all the work, not just to get us back playing, but to actually help Alabama Huntsville get back in league. We went through a lot of stuff this year with folding and coming back, and the WCHA worked hard and allowed us to do that. And we're very thankful for that opportunity this year. And Bill, Todd, and Dean did a lot of work for that, and really appreciative. And also to all the presidents and ADs of the other schools that are giving us the opportunity this year to fight for our program and come back and do everything we can. So first and foremost, I want to thank all of them for that and look forward to the challenge. Also a little special thanks, and maybe late or due, but we had such a huge amount of support from fans and even people that weren't fans of ours, the hockey community all over North America and everywhere that helped rally. And I just want to make sure I thank all those people. We had a huge number. We wrote, we had actually a lot of wives, alumni wrote thank yous, and I was able to sign them and send them to the donors. And I actually got an opportunity to look at a lot of the names, and it was very impressive and humbling to see the amount of people that supported us in our comeback bid. So we hope this year we can make them proud and put a product on the ice that works hard and represents what this university and I want the program to be. So speaking of that, for our team, clearly everyone knows how young we're going to be. We only have 2 seniors. We have, looks like 6 juniors, and the rest are 13 freshmen and 5 sophomores. So clearly a really young team. You've heard 3 coaches of the league talk about players that were on our roster last year that are now on teams that are favored at the top. And those were tough losses. But our approach has been to move on and upward and fight with the kids we have. The kids here are doing an outstanding job. They're young, but I'll tell you, sometimes when you're young, you don't know things. And their energy level and their commitment has been exactly what we've wanted. They're working every day. Clearly, we know we've got something to prove. That chip Coach Shawhan talked about is as big as you can probably find in any team in the country with the guys that are here this year. And we are going to play that and hope that they use that to, fight hard every day. Some of the returning guys, though, we do have that have been really impressive early. And Bauer Dunecker, one of our forwards, be one of our leaders, just a smart hockey player. He's an impressive young man who last year when we went through all the things is one of the kids that came every day, never quit, never changed how he approached things, had to have surgery in the off season, came back and is just every day as a professional. Him and then our 2 seniors, Connor Wood, Connor Merkley will be the leaders of our team this year. And they're committed to this program and helping us change and grow the culture and really look forward to working with those guys. Back end wise returning, there's 3 guys. People probably don't know their names. They played a lot of minutes. They're really all somewhere in the aspect that they're extremely quiet. They're calm, and they're kind of guys you don't notice. And that's Lucas Bond, who's a sophomore, Drew Lennon, and Dane Finston. they have all played a lot of minutes the last couple of years. So we have those guys to lean on. I think they're actually solid contributors and will be really good Division I defensemen. Will surprise some people, in my opinion. And then we added a couple young freshmen that are big, hard, heavy, a 6'6" kid, Io, and then Brian Scoville, 6'3", 215-pound young man who competes. And they're going to be hard, they're going to be heavy, and they're going to be tough to play against. So we're excited to add those to, I think, give us at least a solid foundation on the back end to build with. Up front, clearly I said Bauer Dunecker is going to be our leader offensively there, and Connor and Merkley and Wood will lead us as just by their work ethic. But, we have some guys, I think they're excited for the opportunity, and Ben Allen, Tier Thompson, some juniors that came back with the attitude that, now's their time and they have an opportunity. So I'm hoping, those two guys have shown a lot in practice that are going to be able to step up and help us score by committee this year, which is what we're going to have to do. I don't think we're going to be talking about guys who lead the league and all league, but, I think we're going to be a committee. I think guys are bought into that. And those two guys have really stepped up in that aspect. With 13 freshmen, I could go over a really long list. But, there's a couple guys, especially up front, that have stepped up. Tyrone Bronte has been really good early. Frank Fatucci, Jonah Alexander, who was one of the leading scorers in the OJ and a first-team All-Star. I think they can really add some offense to us. Obviously, as freshmen, they'll have some ups and downs and struggles. But we're excited about what they can bring. They've had the right attitude, and that's the way we're going to approach things. In net, I guess I've had two opportunities in college hockey as a head coach. Is obviously the intern year I was in Fairbanks. We started that season with 0 games experience in net. And then this year when I get it, we have 7 games experience in net. So that's clearly going to be one of our biggest challenges. David Fezadin returns as a sophomore, a big 6'6" kid that has a lot of athletic ability and upside, has to prove it. He got in 7 games last year, so that's 7 more than I had last time I was in this situation. So I'm excited about that. But I do feel we were really fortunate. Added a young man, Derek Kroll, was the MVP of his team in Powell River. He spent a couple years in Penticton where he was behind really high-end goaltenders. They moved him as a 20-year-old to give him that opportunity and ran with it. Was the MVP of Powell River as a 20-year-old. And I believe he can push and will develop into a really solid Division I goaltender for us. So a little bit more excited about that position and the competition that's there. And, I don't think there's any secrets to where we're at. But, we're thankful for the opportunity, for everyone that put us in this spot. We know the challenge that's ahead of us. When we recruited all these young men, we told them that. They're taking it face on, and we're excited to, really try and prove something and set a culture in the program back to where we believe it should be. That's all I have, guys.
Okay, we've got a question. Justin Bradford. Justin, go right ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Todd. Lance, Justin Bradford here, Penalty Box Radio. Just wanted to get your thoughts on the news that broke today, just about the longevity and sustainability of the program and having the alums step up, especially as an alum yourself, and seeing that so many UH alums have stepped up to make sure there's money coming in to keep this organization funded for the next 10 years.
Yeah, and that's the first step, and we've talked about it a lot. The first step, in my opinion, was the long-term financial stability. You also have to thank the president and Kay. That was one of our athletic director. That, was one of the guidelines they had for us returning, and it had to be there. And our alumni, and especially Sheldon and Tasso and a large group, and have been fighting for it. There's been a lot of guys over the years, older guys that fought for years, and now some of the younger guys are stepping up because they can financially. But it's been a very impressive thing to see. Everybody come together, and they'll talk more about it and the impact, but it's the first step in us coming back and trying to establish our program long term, and it's extremely exciting. I want to thank the NHL and the Nashville Predators, Tampa Bay, and those guys, and they've worked with us and advising and talking, and there's been Mike Snee at College Hockey Inc. All these people have stepped up to help us to help educate us, advise us, and give us advice on how we do this the right way. And everybody's working together. So, I'm just proud to be part of it, and we're going to do everything we can to represent the university the right way.
Okay, next up is Randy Johnson from the Star Tribune. Randy, go ahead. Randy, I'm sorry, you're on mute.
In the fundraising effort.
Sorry, Randy, you were on mute there. You just came off. Can you please repeat that for me?
What has Cam Talbot meant in this whole process of fundraising and leadership and everything?
Well, he's a big part. I mean, obviously, he's clearly, one of our, if not our most successful prospect that's moved on to the NHL. We've obviously had Jared play some games, but Cam is at the forefront of that. And just the exposure. I mean, the fact that he was willing to come out, put his name on it, what the program meant to him, gave him, it was huge. Because, like I said, when I signed those thank yous and all the wives and alumni wrote them and hand wrote them and I read them and, we did them together. It was impressive to see the people. And there was a lot of NHL people in there that had zero ties to our program. And Cam's probably a big reason for that and in the drive. And we're thankful for everything he's done here. I think it reflects really on what we want to be as a program and where we got to get back to. Guys like Tosh, Sheldon, Cam, Jared, all these guys that look back and say what the university and program has given them instead of just what they've given you and giving back. And him leading that and really emphasizing that was huge, just in seeing all the other alumni that came in, the Derek Pupas, and I could give you the names and the check sizes. And I don't think we need to do that, but it was impressive. And he was at the forefront of that, and he will continue to be there.
All right, Coach, we appreciate your time today. Congratulations on the good news, and we're going to let you go.
All right, thank you.
Okay, next up. One second, fellas. Okay, folks, sorry about that. We're having some technical difficulties getting Coach Serratori hooked up. So we're going to jump ahead here real quick, and we're going to bring on from Minnesota State head coach Mike Hastings. Coach, let me move you onto the panel here. Give me just 1 second. Okay, there we are, Coach. You're on. Thank you. I apologize for that issue. Give me 1 second here. Okay, Coach, the floor is yours. Coach, we're having an issue here. Give me 1 second. We're not hearing anything from you.
You've got me as sorry
Okay.
about that.
There you go, Coach. Okay, go ahead. I apologize. You're on. Floor's yours. I apologize.
Nope, all good. Just wanted to say again, and I'll echo just some comments. Just for us to be going right now and rolling and out practicing with a vision of, not this weekend, but the next for ourselves and being able to start our season. I want to say thank you to the league office. I want to say thank you to the university presidents, AD. I just want to make sure it's, do you guys still have me?
Okay, Coach, thank you. We have any questions for Coach Hastings?
Did I lose? You got me there now? Can you hear me?
I got you. I apologize, Coach. You've been cutting in and out.
All right. I just, sorry about that. Don't know what the connection is. Just want to let you know we're happy to be playing. And again, thank you to the presidents, ADs, other coaches, along with the WCHA league office and getting us going. We're excited about it, as everybody is. I was bummed out the other day, and I know I was listening to Ty earlier on our broadcast here that their game got canceled against the US team. I was looking forward to watching Bowling Green play because it's hockey time. We had 3 inches of snow the other day, and that means it's time to drop a puck. And so in our own world right now, we're excited about our group that we have coming back. The group that we have back are led by seniors. The group of 6 seniors we have up front with Reggie Lutz, Jake Remco, Julian Napravnik, Dallas Gerads, Jared Spooner, and Walker Dewar are guys that we're going to plan on asking them to shoulder the load going forward for us with the group that we lost a year ago. Reese Bullock, Jack McNeely are 2 defensemen that have come back, and we'll have to teach some of our young guns back at the blue line what it is to play in a league as difficult as the WCHA. And we've got a goaltender that's helping us also at the back end where Dryden McKay is returning. So we're excited about what we have coming back and look forward to answering questions.
Again, apologies for the technical difficulties there. If you have any questions for Coach, please raise your hand. Okay, we've got first off Greg Cameron. Greg, go ahead.
Afternoon, Coach. Thank you for the time. What are some of the positives you see, or maybe even a drawback to facing Bemidji State 4 times to start the year?
Well, I don't think anybody is excited about doing anything other than start playing, but to have to play Bemidji State 4 times, it's a difficult task. We play them 4 times every year, let alone playing them in back-to-back weekends. But I think the guys are just excited about getting out and playing. And so we're looking forward to the opportunity of getting on the road, going to Bemidji for 2, and then coming back and playing in our own building.
All right. Next up, we have Randy Johnson. Randy, go ahead.
Hi, Mike. Dryden had such a solid year last year. Where can he take his game to the next level?
I think mentally and physically, he's a guy that's matured to a level for us that we just look back and feel comfortable with him being between the posts. Him coming back with some of the accolades that he's had at this moment or expectations that have been put in front of him, I think is something that he internalizes, and somebody that has a standard of play that is one that I don't think anybody, including our coaching staff, expects more out of Dryden McKay than himself. So we lost a lot that left our program. We've got some growing to do with some of the young guys that we have in our lineup that are going to be taking spots of some very seasoned veterans like a Mark Michaelis, a Parker Toomey, Charlie Gerard, guys that have been here and played a lot of minutes. And I think you're going to see a guy like Dryden McKay be a little bit busier than he might have been a year ago. And so one thing that's great about Dryden is he's pretty level-headed. And he's somebody that I think has a tremendous amount of expectation of himself. And he understands that it's a restart. He's going to have to go earn the opportunity to be between the posts on a consistent basis and earn the opportunity to win us hockey games.
All right, Coach, thank you for your time. We appreciate you jumping on early. And again, apologies for the technical difficulties there. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we now have live on the line here. I'm going to put him on screen. Tom Serratori from Bemidji State. Get him online here in 1 second. Okay, there we go. Coach, you are on. You go ahead and take yourself off mute, and you will have the floor.
Am I on, Todd?
Yeah, there you are, sir. Go ahead.
All right, thanks. Thanks for having me. First thing is, thanks for having me. And you know, we've been waiting to drop the puck, I think, for a long time. Everybody's been in the same boat. As far as the Beavs go, we like our group, and we obviously are hoping there's a carryover coming into to this coming winter. It's a group that we have 14 upperclassmen, 14 underclassmen. So 6 seniors, 8 juniors. We're going to rely obviously on the leadership group and the talent of those upperclassmen. There's a league. I think when you take a look at the league is the deepest it's ever been since realignment. I don't know if we'll be able to pick the top 5 or the bottom 5. That's going to lead to a pretty interesting 18-game sprint, which that's what we're going to have this year. And as far as our leadership group, I mentioned obviously 14 upperclassmen, 6 seniors, 8 juniors. Our captain is Ethan Somoza, just a kid who does things the right way. He plays hard. He's a calming voice in the locker room, and he's just so respected on the ice, off the ice, everything he does. The alternate captains, Brad Johnson, who's a senior, Tyler Vold, and Owen Sillinger, who's a junior. So those guys, again, they're carrying the torch as far as the leadership goes, and we really rely on those guys. And they're going to lead on the ice, they're going to lead off the ice, and again, they're guys that have complete command of the locker room. As far as our returners, we do return 22 players. Led by our goaltender, Zach Driscoll, who had a heck of a year last year. And he's going to be his last year. And, he's going to be asked to do a lot, just like we asked a lot out of him last year. We have 7 defensemen who are returning, and we have 12 forwards. So we feel it's a veteran group, but it's a new season. It's a new start. And again, it's just been a long off season. And with the long off season, I think we're just ready to, drop the puck, have referees, have the scoreboard on, and just kind of go from there. With that, questions?
Okay, yeah. First question will be from Greg Cameron. Greg, go ahead.
Afternoon, Coach. Thank you for the time. I just asked Coach Hastings a similar question, but before you start that sprint you alluded to, you're going to face Minnesota State 4 times in a row. What are some positives or some negatives to that?
Well, I don't know if there's positives or negatives. The bottom line is we just want to play, and the guys want to play, and it's just nice playing your in-state rival. I look at it this way, and I've told a few people this. We had a heck of a tough non-conference schedule with St. Cloud, Duluth, North Dakota, and Minnesota. And in my opinion, it's we're not replacing we're replacing that tough non-conference schedule with the same tough non-conference schedule in Mankato 4 times, Northern Michigan twice, and Michigan Tech twice. So it's going to be a grind right away, but that's kind of how we set our season up anyway, where you play non-conference games right away, and you play non-conference games against some of the best competition in the country. And Mankato is going to be one of the top teams in the country. So we might as well keep on going what we do year in and year out and play that difficult competition early.
Okay, thank you. Now we have a question from Tim Rapley.
Hey, Coach, thanks for jumping on here.
Absolutely, Tim.
If you could just talk a little bit about Zach Driscoll. We all know what he can do between the pipes. Does he have much of a voice in the room, or does he kind of just quietly go about his business?
Anybody has a voice in the room if they want to use their voice, first off, Tim, and he's got a great voice in the room. And when he talks, people do listen. He doesn't talk all the time, but he does everything the right way as well, just like Ethan Somoza. And when he speaks, people listen. And he's very serious about his craft. He has a great understanding of the game of hockey, and he never shortchanges the team or shortchanges himself. He does things the right way as far as his work ethic. So yeah, he's got a voice in the locker room, and when he does talk, people do listen because he just doesn't spout off all the time.
Okay, next up, Randy Johnson. Randy, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Tom.
Hey, Randy.
How are you doing? Just looking at the long stretch of practice this fall before you knew you'd be playing exactly when you'd be starting, what was your approach to those practices and how you used your time?
Well, I think there's a few different approaches to the practice. Number one is the players were excited to have coaches on the ice. Typically, it can be a little overkill having the coaches, but you have to remember, the players' season was put on hold on March 10th, 11th, whatever that date was, and we didn't get going on the ice till, really end of September for us. So they were excited to have coaches on the ice. The players were actually excited for some structure, and you have to remember again. The season was cut short. They didn't have a spring lifting. The playoffs were cut short. They didn't have spring lifting. They didn't have summer lifting. They were told that they had to do things on their own. They did things virtual. A lot of their communities were shut down. They come back to Bemidji, in middle of August for school. Same thing. It just took a while to get everything in place, to get everything organized. So the guys were excited actually for a little structure, and they wanted coaches on the ice. They wanted to be told what to do. So from that standpoint, the enthusiasm and the excitement from the players has been outstanding. As far as coaches, I think what you need to do in the off season, you need to manage your practices properly because it was a long fall. We kind of knew that the season was going to start late. We just didn't know if it was going to be middle of November, middle of December, what it was going to be. But there's a reason why we have a 4-hour rule in the off season. And I think, that did everybody just fine. There wasn't overkill, but there was, great tempo to the practices. There was excitement to the practices, and probably mutually with the coaches and the players, there was a lot of enjoyment to the practices.
We've got time for a couple more questions. We're going to go to first Austin Monteith. Austin, go ahead.
Hi, Tom.
Hey, Austin.
We've seen, unfortunately, this college football season, several games getting postponed or canceled every weekend. How are you preparing your team for the possibility of games getting postponed or canceled?
Well, you don't plan for that, and we don't talk about that. You just play, Austin. You have your practices. You have the theme of your practices. There's certain things you want to go over. There's certain areas of the game you want to get better in. So I just don't think you talk about those things because, again, those are things that are out of your control. You just prepare like you have games that weekend. And if you have them, you do. And if you don't, you don't. And we just got to get ready to play. If games get canceled, then you got to get ready for the next weekend or the weekend after that. But I think as far as talking about any of those things or preparing for those things, you can't talk about that and you can't prepare for that.
All right, we got time for one more question. We're going to go to Jack Hittinger here.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, Jack.
I know you guys have a lot of experience coming back and the good number of seniors and juniors, upperclassmen. Just kind of curious what your take is on some of the freshmen you got coming in or any newcomers that you think might be able to contribute right away.
Well, again, at the end of the day, Jack, I'm going to say the same thing I say it's usually, the middle of September we're having this call, but you know, as far as our freshmen, I think right now we haven't played a game yet. So to put those guys to talk about, you know, what the expectations are for those guys, I just don't think it's fair. I know everybody always wants to talk about the freshmen, but you know, college hockey is a men's league, and you know, the bottom line is, majority of time your success is going to be with the upperclassmen, and to try to put any undue pressure on your freshmen, I just don't think it's, you know, the right thing to do, because again, we just don't know till you get into games. We like every one of our freshmen. We think they're all good hockey players, but you know, to sit there and talk about where they're at right now, I just think is way too premature. And let those guys get settled in, let those guys get battle tested, and I think it's a lot easier to probably talk about those guys halfway through the season.
All right, Coach. Thank you for your time. Appreciate you working with us on the technical issues. We're going to let you have your day back. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks, Todd.
Yep. Okay, we're going to move up to the 49th state now, and we're going to bring in from Alaska Anchorage head coach Matt Curley. Give me just 1 second. Okay, Coach, thank you. You're on with us. You just unmute your speaker and you're good to go.
Hey. Yeah, thanks, Todd. Thanks for having me.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, so here we go, I guess. Looking forward to getting going. I know a lot of work's been in place to make this happen for not only ourselves, but for the league. And it certainly hasn't been easy, as we all know, but I'm hopeful that things can get going here soon with some non-conference games for us in particular with our neighbors to the north in Fairbanks in early December. And then from there, starting our league play with the WCHA. As far as our team and the ins and outs of that, it certainly has been a rocky fall for this group. There's no hiding that fact. It's been a turbulent few months for sure, but really have to speak highly of our group and the resilience they've shown. I mean, obviously with what's gone on across the country, every player and coaching staff has had to deal with it, but certainly our guys, I feel, have had to wear a burden greater than most in terms of our announcement and dealing with that. But we're excited about the opportunity to be able to compete this year, to showcase ourselves, and hopefully with a little bit of support and luck, we can see our ways out of this storm that we're in and move forward. But we're looking forward, like I said, Todd, to getting going, and hopefully we can have a happy ending to this story.
Thanks, Coach. We're going to move to questions, and the first one will be Jack Hittinger. Jack, go right ahead.
Hey, Coach. Just obviously, Alaska, you and Fairbanks always have interesting travel issues, but I think probably in this age of COVID, you've probably had those intensified. Just maybe curious what you are doing to figure out how to travel more safely. I know it's always a headache for you guys, but maybe is there anything you guys have talked about that can maybe help alleviate some of those issues?
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Yeah, I mean, it's logistically speaking, it's certainly the COVID situation has not helped our cause by any means. There's no secret with our location for us in Fairbanks. It makes it extremely difficult to get place to place. There's no bus rides. But, a lot of those things in regards to our restrictions or hurdles that we face are really out of our control. And what I mean by that is it's at a higher level than just the men's ice hockey program. Working with the state, which has been very good to us in terms of granting us waivers and being flexible in terms of working with our university. There's municipality restrictions and then the national, of course, across the board. So a lot of that stuff, unfortunately, for better or for worse, is out of our hands. But given that, I think that there's been a lot of cooperation amongst the parties and at play to be able to for lack of a better word, seamlessly make this happen. And I've been grateful for that.
Okay, any other questions for Coach? Just raise your hand and we'll get you on. Okay, Randy Johnson, start your game. Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, hi. How have your players handled the whole situation with the possibility that the announcement that the program would be going away? What has their resilience been like?
Yeah, it's been good, Randy. It's been really good. You know, it's again, I don't want to play a broken record, but there's no secret of what's been going on up here. It's been trying. So these kids, these guys, our staff, we're pretty battle tested in that regard. And, you know, I think what's taken, I guess, the sting off of it a little bit is currently what we're all facing in the late start to the season, the delays, the hurdles that we've all had to face and try to make this season a reality. And I think that collective struggle across not only the league, but across the country has eased some of that burden where it's not the sole focus for us. And right now, what our attention has been driven towards is getting ready for the start of the year, which I think at first, of course, it was a bit of a tough blow. But as we've gotten going here, it's been working towards that ultimate goal, which is to play this year. And that was the message I sent to the guys when everything was announced. And it was our goal to play this year and let everything else take care of itself. So in terms of their resilience, it's been great, and very proud of what they've shown so far, and hope they can continue that on the ice when we get going.
And we have another question from Jack Hittinger. Jack, go ahead.
Yeah, just sort of follow up to that. I know you have a couple. I couldn't remember if you said how many freshmen you have on your roster, but especially for them coming in, knowing the situation, what have you seen from them? Obviously, seems like they're going to have to contribute because you have a lot of them, but like how motivated do they seem to you to play well despite what might be going on, I guess?
Yeah, no, they've been outstanding. We're I guess like anyone else, we're very excited about those kids and them making the commitment to join us and stick with us through all of this. We're a younger team. We were last year. The bulk of our scoring and offensive production relied heavily on that class, and they're sophomores, which are still young. And really the same is going to be the expectation for these freshmen. And I hate to put that burden on them, but that's part of the reason they came up here for that opportunity, and they'll get that. And I think with the added motivation, if you will, to prove their worth if things do not work out up here, to show that they can play at this level, which I certainly believe they can. And I think once we get going, a lot of people will see that as well. So their motivation is extremely high, as is with the rest of the group. And certainly they're going to have an opportunity to showcase what they have.
All right, Coach, thank you for your time. We're going to let you go and give you your day back. Appreciate you joining us today.
Thanks, Todd.
Okay, we're going to go to our final speaker of the day, Coach Eric Largan from Alaska Fairbanks. Coach, we'll get you on here in just 1 second. All right. Okay, Coach, thank you for joining us. The floor is yours to make your opening statement.
Thanks, Todd. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just like to thank everyone, especially the league office. I know it's, sure everyone said it on here already before, but just a season unlike any other. And, with all the things that have been happening with the cancellation of the season in March, and then, heading over through the summer with the pandemic. And obviously as it continues on here, I think the work through all the member institutions, the league office, Commissioner Robertson, it's been remarkable just to get us to this point. And, it's exciting with, teams opening up over the next couple weeks, and us being able to get a chance to an opportunity to play Anchorage at the beginning of December. We're very thankful for that. Thank you to all of our veterans out there, Veterans Day today, and appreciate all the sacrifice and service they do for our country as well. I guess just going and talking about the Nanuks this year for our season. I know, we had an older group last year. We have 15 people that have any college experience on the roster this year. So it's going to be a different year for us, and we're excited about it. The practices have been intense. They've been great so far. Guys have been eager to get out there and learn. We just had our first team practice with our full team yesterday. So guys are pretty excited just to be able to get out there and spend time with one another. Our group's led by Max Newton, our captain, senior forward. Justin Young is our only other senior on the team this year. And then by the coaches, the all WCHA preseason defenseman, Chris Jandrick, he'll be leading a strong defensive core, and have Gustav Skriggles as our lone returning goalie back for this season. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how quickly these new faces come along and progress, but we're excited about it and looking forward to the start of the year and opening up to any questions if anybody has any.
Okay. First question will be from Jack Hittinger. Jack, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. I know you guys have already had some issues with the quarantining and the pandemic, and I know it's got to be pretty difficult for you, but I guess having already experienced some of the worst parts of the pandemic and having to quarantine yourselves, are you guys being even more careful, I guess, just preaching to the guys what they're supposed to do and how you can play make sure you can play all these games? I know it must be difficult preparing, just sort of not knowing whether you're going to play or not, but I know we've seen that in some other sports as well, but just sort of wanted your thoughts on how you're dealing with it up there.
I mean, I think we're dealing with it how everybody's dealing with it, right? We're, preaching the same message and, making sure that guys are wearing masks and guys are socially distancing and hand washing, sanitation, all that type of stuff. And I think they understand, what's at stake for them as well. They all want to play, and they all want to be safe and make sure that they're, doing the right things that are needed and necessary for us to be able to compete this season. So guys have done a really good job at it, and little hiccup at the beginning of the year, but since then it's been spectacular. I give a lot of credit to our group. I think they've responded really well to it and have done a fantastic job.
All right, next up, Aaron Walling. Aaron, go ahead.
Hey there, Coach. I know it's early in the process, but do you see any players taking up that mantle that Steven Jantrick had on your guys' roster?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to replace a player like Steven. He's a very talented player, great player. I think we're just going to have to do it by committee, and it's just so early to know what's going to happen with those freshmen and guys who haven't had an opportunity to play an NCAA game yet, and just starting to get into actual 5-on-5 and team-specific practices and things like that. So it's really early to see. I think there's a lot of guys that are going to be able to earn those types of minutes and those opportunities, and we'll see which guys are able to step up throughout the course of the year.
Hey, Aaron, did you have a follow-up?
Yep. And Coach, my final question for you is, especially for the returners, but also the young guys, what's it mean to open the season with the opening leg of the Governor's Cup?
Yeah, guys are excited, right? The in-state rivalry, and they're always very competitive games when we play against Anchorage. So I know the guys are looking forward to it, and the older guys have been talking to the younger guys about it, and I think more importantly, they're just excited to get the opportunity to be able to play.
Okay, we got a question from Jack Hittinger. Jack, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Just that I asked Coach Curley that similar question, and he said that he wasn't exactly sure about travel, but I thought I'd ask you the same thing. Just how are you guys dealing with the travel aspects? You guys already have a unique situation for travel even without a pandemic. So just wondering what you guys are doing to figure those sort of logistics out.
I mean, I guess for, we're just following our institutional guidelines, state guidelines, and what we need to be able to do to keep all our players safe and have teams come up here safely as well. And, you know, I don't think that there's, you know, it's hard to say right now, because we haven't been on a road trip yet, but I know that, you know, there's some protocols that are in place, both from the league and our institution, state, and make sure that all our players are traveling safely, as well as, you know, student athletes coming in and staff coming up our way as well.
Video of this available later this afternoon through our YouTube channel. We'll send a link out for anyone that needs to rewatch or re-listen to anything that was said. As always, if you have any questions about anything regarding WCHA, please feel free to reach out to our office. I can be found best via email at tbell@wcha.com, and any and all WCHA information can also be found on our website at wcha.com. Thank you all for joining us, and have a good day.